Hello, and welcome to Ag Week 2021. This year, in honor of our 10th anniversary, we are highlighting innovative advancements, ideas, and individuals that have contributed to agriculture over the past 10 years in a series of 5 interviews. While we wish that these speakers could be with us on campus celebrating all that Purdue has to offer, we are thankful for their contributions to this year's Ag Week. So, without further ado, here are our presidential dialogues. Hello and welcome to Ag Week 2021. Today we are here with Dean Plaut, who is the Dean of the College of Agriculture. Dean Plaut, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I really appreciate it.
So why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction and background of you.
So I'm the Dean of the College of Agriculture at Purdue University. I started as Dean as interim Dean in 2017 and then became permanent Dean in 2018. I was the Associate Dean for Research since 2010. So I've been at Purdue since 2010, so now almost 11 years, as long as Ag Week has been going on.
Yes, exactly. So like you mentioned, Ag Week, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, and we're kind of focusing on highlighting innovative ideas in agriculture over the past 10 years. What advancements in agriculture do you think have been the most influential to the industry as a whole over these past 10 years or even maybe a little bit further back?
So I think one of the big advancements is really the change to the digital age. Farmers are already using much more technology in their practices and really moving forward on some of those types of things. So whether it's a dairy farm or a crop farm, everybody's looking at those new technologies. I think we have a long way to go and lots of promise for the future, but that certainly has been a major change in agriculture.
So you kind of spoke about a long way to go. What challenges specifically do you think that the agriculture industry needs to overcome and kind of come up with innovations to get past to make it that much better?
Well, I think part of that innovation is your generation. Your generation is much more tech savvy than the previous generation. So innovation comes in people and talent. And the people is your generation who are much more willing to look at some of those new technologies. What's so exciting about those technologies, though, is for agriculture, it'll allow us to be more environmentally friendly, at the same time more productive, and then of course more economically sustainable for the future. We also are seeing a change in the types of agriculture. So even Indiana's growing in controlled environment agriculture and some new types of things. So a diversification of agriculture in the state is really exciting to see.
Yes, I agree. So you mentioned that you've been in the College of Agriculture since 2010, and you've been here for roughly about 10 years now, 10, 11 years. Where do you see College of Ag heading in the next 10 years?
That's a really good question. And the digital agriculture data science, it will continue to be more and more important. And particularly some of the imaging technologies that we can use with drones and with other technologies, even robots and things like that, will be really, really important, because those imaging technologies will allow us to find cows that are in pastures and do better pasture management. It'll allow us to identify individual plants and their characteristics. So in every field, it'll continue to move forward. What that means for our students is that we have to make sure our students are more tech savvy and data science savvy than ever before. And it's more than just working on your your iPhone. It's more about understanding what goes in behind it. And I think many of our students may need some programming experience so that they actually know how to create analytics and create apps that will be really useful for our industry.
Of course, yeah, and that'll play in with the ABE department, I assume.
Yes.
Brand new building.
Yep, that's right. That plays in with the ABE department, but all our departments are actually looking at that. One of the interesting things, one of our speakers from Learning from Leaders just a year or two ago now, who came in and he was in marketing, his advice to the students was learn programming. Because even in marketing and the social media uses and things like that, all our students need to have that kind of savviness for the future. So it was really interesting to hear him say that, how important programming is, even in those fields that I don't think we traditionally thought of that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So kind of a little bit of a pivot here. What ways can the agriculture community encourage diversity in both demographics, education, experiences, all of that?
That's a really important question as we move forward. We know we have to be more diverse, and it's diverse in many ways. One of the ways is in types of agriculture. So embracing some of the controlled environment agriculture that's coming to our state. I mean, many, many years ago, we had a thriving flower industry in the state, actually. So embracing some of those new ways that people are farming are really important. Urban gardening and the role of urban in the future is going to be really, really important. Even making sure our industry thinks about cell-based meats and where they fit in. They're obviously not going to be the answer to everything, but they're going to play a role as we move forward. One of the big changes as we move forward that I think is going to continue, and you're seeing it more now, consumer preferences matter. And they matter more than ever before, and the pandemic actually helped move that forward, because what we see now is consumers can now shop anywhere in the country and even overseas by a push of a button. So that's changing how consumers think and gives them much more selection than the old days when they went to the grocery store and you had to pick what was in the grocery store. Now they can pick whatever they want.
Yeah, I agree. So, like you mentioned, you've been part of Ag Week. You've seen Ag Week kind of grow and transform over the past 10 years. What effect kind of does Ag Week have on the campus, and what does it mean to the College of Ag specifically?
So Ag Week has been exciting because I think it brings the rest of the university along in their understanding of how important agriculture is and the relationship between agriculture and food. And that's a connection that people don't make. They think their food comes from the grocery store. And so moving that forward is really, really important as we look to the future. I realized I didn't answer the second half of your diversity question.
Oh, you're okay. You can go back to it.
We've talked about diversity of food, but it's also diversity of people. And we need to continue to bring in a diverse undergraduate and graduate and faculty in diverse areas that bring different experiences to us, that think differently, that can add different social norms to the college, and that's really, really important to me, and I think we're doing more and more of that, but that's going to be really important as we move forward. Some of our efforts in urban gardening brings in a whole new audience that we haven't had before in agriculture, so lots of opportunities to do that. It's hard work, but we need to continue in agriculture to think about the broader population. We know as we move forward, not everybody is a traditional ag person, and bringing in that diversity is really important.
So, kind of back to Ag Week, is there a specific event that you have a favorite, or is there a certain Ag Week that you remember the most?
So there's two things I can point to. One is I love Milk Monday.
Of course.
And that's because I'm dairy. So Milk Monday and ice cream just has to be on my list of favorites. The other one I've always loved is Friday because of the fries, and I thought that was so clever. That those have been my favorite days, and it's just my personal bias. I've also always loved your presidential lecture series and what you've done with that, and I know you're doing it different this year, using virtual format, which is exciting. And so I'm really excited about to listen to all the speakers that you're bringing in this year. I think that'll be really fun. And again, it's a diversity of people. So.
And I would be remiss not to thank you for your help in lining up some of those speakers and giving suggestions. That was very helpful for us. So kind of something with Presidential Dialogue we've been doing this year is we've been asking the same last question to all of our speakers to kind of get a multitude of answers to one specific question. And it was, in general, agriculture has advanced significantly over the last 10 years. In your area of expertise, so this can be academics, your work with dairy production, all of that research, how can we continue to innovate to overcome the challenges affecting the agriculture industry?
That's a great question. How can we continue to innovate? And I have a great answer. It's you. It's our students that can help us innovate. And one of the things that we've been talking about is trying to enhance the entrepreneurial environment for our undergraduate students. We have some that take the entrepreneurship certificate, but how can we open that up so that we continue to innovate and have your generation be thinking more and more about ways that you can do new things that haven't been in agriculture before? It's really important and really exciting opportunity because the field is changing. There are many new opportunities and things you think about that I don't necessarily think about. I heard recently you're going to have Torbert Rocheford's son, Evan Rocheford, talk. You'll be fascinated to hear his story of innovation and what he's done with their company, NutriMaze. We got another group of students have a company called Heloponics that developed a refrigerator-like appliance that you can put in your house for fresh greens every day using new technologies. I want to have more students like that, and I think you and your colleagues and other students are the ones that will do that and will really make a difference for the future.
Well, thank you for that compliment. With that, we thank you for tuning into this year's Presidential Dialogues, and thank you for your interest and participation in Ag Week, and we look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Boiler up!
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast today, and thank you to all of our sponsors for making Ag Week 2021 possible. Make sure to check out other episodes of our podcast posted throughout the week.